All right, guys. So let's jump straight into it. So we're going to continue with the only story that anybody's talking about this week is about Piastri's penalty that he got against Verstappen for apparently braking too hard. They call it brake testing or whatever. Peter Windsor, who I respect, I call him Baba Windsor, Australian analyst and pundit of F1, says that he believes that the penalty on Piastri was harsh. First of all, he said it shouldn't have been 10 seconds. It should have been 5. I'm going to start with that. This whole thing is subjective, and it goes to something he said. He said that on Formula One, the stewards are inconsistent because he believes George Russell should have got a penalty and he didn't, and he believes that this was too harsh. I'm going to say that I don't know if it's too harsh or not. 5, 10 seconds, I don't know. That was dangerous conditions. I don't think we can honestly say that it was too harsh. I'm not saying that it wasn't too harsh, but I think as long as they're going to have this arbitrary way of giving penalties, we can say that it's fine. But I will say that they only gave Lando Norris 5 seconds for crashing into Piastri, and then crashing out of the race. And they gave Piastri 2 points on his penalty license. I'm wondering why Norris didn't. So I think what we're seeing is maybe not that it was too harsh on Piastri, but that there's bias. They're not being fair. It's unfair to give Piastri this and then to not give Norris or George Russell when he brake tested the week before. What are your thoughts about that, Mr. Johnny?
Yeah, that penalty. I remember. I think maybe the reason why it was so harsh was because Piastri actually did it like 3 times before. Even all the safety car situations, Piastri was kind of like very funny.
Yeah, and what's his name complained about it. The guy who Hulkenberg, he didn't complain, but afterwards he said
you just mentioned it.
He was like he was in passing. He said, "Oh yeah, I know this. You did press your brake hard, and we almost crashed." He wasn't complaining. He was just telling a fact. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, So yeah, I think the first 2 times it looked like he was just trying to slow down from the safety car. But the way he did it the 4th time, that was just too harsh. Just too much, and it looked like he was also trying to be a bit cynical. He was trying to get.
Yeah, maybe he was trying to get some people say, maybe he's a little bit afraid of Verstappen because he knows Verstappen might catch him. So he may have panicked and tried to call him out. My main thing is I can't say if they gave 5 seconds, it's okay. If they gave 10 seconds, it's okay. But he deserves some type of penalty. I'm not going to get into the details. But I do think it's funny that when Norris tried to pass him dangerously, past Piastri, they gave Norris a 5 second, even though it doesn't count because he crashed out. But the main thing is that they gave Piastri 2 points on his license. Do you think they should have done that, Mr. Johnny?
Wait, when I think there was an interview, they asked Verstappen about the difference in the punishment they gave in. It happened in I think it happened in Miami. Oh no, it happened in Austria, and then they asked Verstappen what's the difference between what happened there and here. Then Verstappen said, "Yeah, the difference is the stewards."
The stewards.
So I guess this one's where
they have different stewards from race to race, and the stewards don't get paid; they just get free food and they get to travel. So there's I think that's the problem. There's consistency, and some of the stewards they give interviews to gambling sites. 2 of them have been suspended. 2 of them have been suspended. They went to the gambling site and they say, "Oh, we don't like Verstappen. He drives roughly." How can you be a steward and you're going to a gambling site where people bet on money and you're talking bad about Verstappen? There's a conflict of interest. So the FIA needs to get their act together, I think, in general. Thanks for that point. What do you think, Kunle? Yeah.
I think when I was watching the race to the naked eye, when the incident occurred, to the naked eye, it looked like, yes, Piastri was very guilty and he should have been suffering the full 10 points. But then what confused me was Verstappen's reaction wasn't really any anger at Piastri, which means that I must have misjudged. So I don't blame the stewards for bias or whether they were making the same misconception that I was, because clearly it wasn't as bad as really seemed based on Verstappen's reaction, which was really to more or less blame himself and his car rather than anything that Piastri had done.
No. So Verstappen blamed himself for spinning out, but he did. If you listen to the radio, when Piastri pressed his brakes and Verstappen went for Verstappen started swearing. He said, "What the fuck? He slowed down too hard." So even Verstappen said that. So I think Verstappen is more that he's angry because he's making himself an ally with Piastri because he hates the British bullshit. You get my point? But also, I think that Verstappen doesn't think that Piastri did it on purpose. But he knows that George Russell did it on purpose. Remember, George Russell was trying to make Verstappen pass him so that he would get penalized for a race. So I agree with what you're saying, that maybe it wasn't as harsh. I don't think Piastri did it on purpose, but I do think they need to make a penalty out of him to make a point, because it was raining and other drivers said that he almost caused a multiple car collision with that. What do you think, Kunle, before we go to Johnny? Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, the question is whether the question now is, okay, definitely something went wrong, but was it on purpose or not?
No, I don't think it was on purpose.
Verstappen's point of view on Sunday just gone, it was not done on purpose. He didn't really intend to do so.
Yeah.
Although it did affect his race somewhat unfairly.
Yeah.
The question as to whether Russell did his on purpose, from a point of view, merit to saying that. However, we always lay innocent until proven guilty.
But you know what was funny? Russell did something after Verstappen got his penalty for hitting Russell. That was the week before. Russell said, very good now, because now he has penalty points. No, before the race. Actually, before the race, Russell says, who knows, I might do something funny at the start of the race and make him angry because he has penalty points to lose. He said that before the race. So it's circumstantial. You understand what Russell joked about it, and everybody in the crowd started booing. This was after Russell got pole position in the race where he brake tested. He said, it will be close, but Verstappen has to worry more than me at the start because he has penalty points to lose. And that was like, Russell knows what he's doing. He was trying to press Verstappen's buttons. So I'm not saying that he did it on purpose, but if you go in front of a bunch of jurors or a magistrate, because you guys have a magistrate system, the judge is going to be thinking, okay, I'm not going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt because he's been saying some very cheeky, very offensive things. It's very bad to hint that you're going to make somebody mess up on purpose, And also, he cost Verstappen a pole position a year before, so there's a history between them. But my thing is that I'm not going to say that the 10 seconds, it doesn't make sense to give Piastri a 5-second penalty. That's not going to hurt enough. 10 seconds is okay. You can even get 20. You can even get 20.
I thought 10 was actually quite harsh. I was thinking that 5 would have been okay, but
maybe, it's debatable, but I do think that whatever it was, even if he had gotten that 5-second penalty, I think he might have still, it would have been close. He may have still won. But the thing is that I'm not going to say it's too harsh, but you guys might have a point, because I think the British want this guy to win this year, Norris. They want him to win. And it's definitely it's very harsh to give Piastri 2 points on his driver's license.
The stewards are actually
British.
They're actually the nationality of the place. Like British stewards. If they're in Monaco, it would be French stewards. Or Abi?
No. They just have different people. It doesn't matter. But most of them are British people across the board.
Because I think there was a bit of sentiment added on top of that punishment.
The British Grand Prix and all that. But to me, that's dirty.
The British people, but they're basically the criminals in London that were sent to Australia. So they're not far.
But the British people, it's funny, but they weren't happy that Piastri, if Piastri wins, they're not happy. Whenever Piastri wins, they're not happy. So they're like, you people are all of our criminals. We hate you anyway. Leave our What about Americans? White Americans were British too, It's just that they don't have the accent anymore.
But the Australia, it was all Brits. And mostly from...
but when America was made independent, it was all British. The first 13 states. The colonies, they were all British.
A lot of other European races now make up America, as opposed to Australia.
I think that the British would be happy if an American wins rather than Australia, because we know America and Britain are partners in crime around the world.
No, 10 and 10 champions. Although they've not been in the last few years.
I think of the Australia left the Commonwealth, so maybe that's why they're not happy with Piastri doing so well.
But I do think Windsor has a point. He says that he highlighted the inconsistencies in the application of penalties, noting that George Russell was not penalized for that same thing, and that's the main thing. And also, we've noticed that they penalized Verstappen. Remember, when he went out of the track, when Piastri basically pushed him out of the track in that race where Piastri beat him, and then he came back in, and they said he had to give the place back to Piastri. So it's very clear that there's mago and there's a lot of inconsistencies. I think that's the bigger problem, not the penalty they gave Piastri, but the lack of inconsistency. I think the rules need to be made clearer, and they need to just like football. We know in football, if you get a red card, you're out. The rules need to be clear. There's too much subjectivity, which allows people to manipulate. Same thing with Hamilton. They allowed that guy. They allowed Verstappen to pass Hamilton on a safety car and win the championship.
Yeah, that's one. Mm-hmm. So I think when you're at the top, people just come after you. Just come at you.
And it was a big story. They said, okay, Hamilton it was your time. Now it's Verstappen's time. Now they say Verstappen is not your time. It's Russell's time. The only problem is, even though it's Russell's time, Russell can't. Even when they cheat for Russell, he'll still lose. To the fact when McLaren even changed the car for Norris. They changed the car for
Norris,
so that, which was bad for Piastri, because since they changed the car, Piastri's driving slower. So it seems like McLaren has made they've made Norris their number one driver, even though Piastri's winning. Which is that's why. Did you hear what Christian Horner said? They said if Verstappen leaves, who is your first choice? He said Piastri, because I think Piastri is angry at McLaren. He realizes that they will always have him as their number two driver, even if he's their best driver. What were you going to say, Mr. John?
I think Norris was actually faster than Piastri was actually faster than Norris. It's just that 10-second thing. So I think the car is still kind of like on both sides. I think.
And also Norris told them to
just that Norris is more comfortable now with the car. I'm sure even now Piastri is even more comfortable with the car because
we'll see. I still think Piastri's going to win. I still pray he will, but I think he'll win.
Yeah.
Because we have to remember, Piastri is very lucky because he got a 10-second penalty and he still came second. Piastri is the only person in this year that hasn't had a DNF. He hasn't had a DNF. And do you remember in Australia where we thought he had a DNF when his car was in the gravel and he reversed his car and kept driving?
Come out, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That means this guy is a winner. And also he's a winner for asking them, he said, tell Norris to give me the place back. So he has the mentality. And I think at the end of the day, he's going to win this championship, even if it'll be close. Okay, so we're almost done. Last thoughts. Let's go around the block. What are your thoughts, Colin?
Yeah, I think Piastri is going through an ability growth spurt, as it were. He's having the short-term last 3 or 4 races. He's consistently improved. And he is getting closer to overhauling Norris. And the thing is that the problem that Norris is having is that Piastri has, I think he's getting into a zone. He's getting into a focus zone. I'm getting that vibe from Piastri.
I think so.
And what he's focused on this year is not so much getting the championship, but beating Norris.
And being consistent.
What he's not really thinking about winning the championship. He's thinking, I just got to get past Norris. I'm better than this guy. And he's shown that he has a lot more mental strength than Norris, relatively speaking. Norris's main problem is he's not right in the head. His abilities, he's not able to transcend them into the car often enough in order to be the champion that he really should be. He just doesn't have the mental strength, and that's counting in Piastri's favor right now.
I agree. He's not right in the head, he's left in the head. All right. Thank you. Nice one. What are your last thoughts on Mr. Johnny?
So I think even though that Silverstone race was quite exciting, but that rain kind of denied us the big fight between Norris and Piastri with their new specs. So I think that big fight is going to still come for the next race, and hopefully the weather will just be clear. We'll just see both of them. They're going to really lay it out, and they're going to find out who's got the biggest, and that
who's the biggest biatch.
Who's the biggest, what's the biggest tire,
We'll see next week. So we'll see it. So Johnny, I'll see you in 2 days. I'll send the thumbnail. Kool-Aid, we have one more today, maybe at 5:30. The political, then we'll be done. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. So
all right.
What are we doing?
Politics, just like 10 minutes or so. Yeah.
Right.
Political. Oh, are you busy that time? If not, we can put it off for today.
I'll make time. 5:30 is cool.
5:30. Okay. Thank you. All right. Have a good one, guys.
All right. Yo.
All right, good.